Former Alabama Supreme Court Chief Justice Roy Moore and Luther Strange Raleigh will advance to the Senate primary runoff to fill the Alabama Senate seat left open by Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions' fellow CRA News call for Trump to fire Bannon. Lawmakers press DOJ to help victims of Ponzi scheme. Trump records robocall for Luther Strange. Moore setting up a high-profile clash within the GOP. The result had been expected. Moore came into Tuesday as the consensus frontrunner and Strange, the incumbent, appeared to have pulled ahead of Rep. Mo Brooks. Trump barrage stuns McConnell and his allies. The memo. Trump's base cheers attacks on McConnell. Roy Moore leads a new Alabama Senate poll. Moore Raleigh in the race's final weeks. President Trump's endorsement last week appears to have helped to bolster Strange's bid in the final days, but in a special election primary smack in the middle of August, most poll watchers expected low turnout, which injected some uncertainty into the race. The final results appear largely in line with the consensus. Moore led Strange 41% to 32% when the Associated Press and the New York Times called the race about 2 hours after polls closed, but while Brooks had been polling just a few steps behind Strange, he ultimately fell far behind, since no candidate is projected to hit 50%. Moore and Strange will move on to a September 26 runoff before the December general election. The three top candidates ran the race in the shadow of President Trump, who sports a 55% approval rating in the state according to recent Gallup polling, a figure far ahead of his sinking national average. The three candidates spent much of the race jockeying over who could be the best steward of Trump's message in the Senate. That dynamic made Trump's decision to endorse Strange the fruit of a push by top Republicans like Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Trump quietly putting his stamp on the courts. Democrats see Obamacare leverage in spending fights opinion. Progressives, now's your chance to secure healthcare for all. More RKY, a powerful one, yet it has also opened the door for his opponents to tar Strange as the pick of Washington insiders. Both Moore and Brooks have evoked McConnell in campaign ads as the embodiment of the very swamp that Trump has promised to excise from Washington. Moore blasted Strange as a McConnell stooge during his victory speech on Tuesday, arguing that the attempt by the silk-stocking Washington elitists to control the voice of the people of Alabama has failed. And he made a direct appeal to his fellow candidates, including Brooks, to join with me to defeat the Washington Crow. Moore made his name thanks to two major statewide controversies, one over his decision to ignore a court order to remove a Ten Commandments statue he commissioned from Stateland, and another over his refusal to follow the 2013 federal Supreme Court. That hardline stance has served him well so far, allowing him to hold a strong coalition together despite being massively outspent. But his polarizing nature begs questions about whether his support can grow ahead of the runoff. McConnell lobbied allies aggressively to support Strange, who he and the National Republican Senatorial Committee are treating as an incumbent even though he was only appointed temporarily to fill the seat in February. The Majority Leader's allied super PAC, Senate Leadership Fund, has spent millions on Strange's behalf, first tarring Brooks for his past criticism of Trump and then shifting to blasting Moore once the group felt confident about Strange's position. During Strange's victory speech, he played up his support from Trump by recounting the telephone call he received last week from Trump to share his endorsement. "He knows I am the person in this race who will help him make our country great again," Strange said of Trump. Then Gov. Robert Bentley appointed Strange to temporarily fill the seat vacated by Sessions ahead of the special election. But Strange's critics immediately bristled at that appointment because Strange's office was known to be investigating Bentley at the time. Bentley later resigned and pleaded guilty to charges related to an alleged cover-up of an affair with an aide. Now, Moore and Strange will move on to a one-month sprint before the September 26 runoff. Moore's supporters are hopeful that the brutal fight between Brooks and Strange will drive more of Brooks' supporters toward his campaign. But Strange's allies believe that Moore's controversial resume means he won't have much room to grow on top of those who turned out in the primary. Moore led Strange in a recent runoff poll released by Signal, an unaffiliated Alabama-based political firm, and the data firm L2 last week. The poll found Moore with 45% of the vote to Strange's 34%. The runoff will serve as one of the early tests of Trump's political clout since he took office. So far, all of the GOP candidates that he's endorsed have won their elections, so the stakes are high on Trump too after he decided to go along with the party's leadership to back Strange despite friction between the administration and Capitol Hill Republicans. On the Democratic side, former federal prosecutor Doug Jones cruised to an easy victory and avoided a runoff. He has been endorsed by top Democrats like former Vice President Joe Biden. Joe Biden White House clarifies we condemn all violence. Biden criticizes Trump's many sides. Remarks there is only one side. Biden condemns Charlottesville violence, racism and hate have no place in U.S. more, but is expected to be a serious underdog in the December special general election against either candidate.